Today we're going to unpack some absolutely fascinating research from Dr. Joseph Delaney. We're going to explore a powerful new model for human development and, get this, reveal how this cutting-edge science might actually be rediscovering an ancient map of human consciousness. So, let's dive right in. So let's start with a feeling I bet a lot of us know all too well. You know that sense of being pulled in a million different directions? Feeling stressed out, disconnected, maybe even a little bit broken? It's that constant low-grade hum of overwhelm that seems to define modern life. And, this isn't just some vague feeling. Neuroscience actually has a name for it: dysregulation. It's basically when our internal systems get all knocked off balance by stress or trauma, and that makes it really hard to learn, to connect with people, or even just to think clearly.
So to understand and maybe even start to fix this dysregulation, Dr. Delaney's work pulls together several major scientific frameworks into something he calls the TriSync Model. This is our scientific starting point for, putting the pieces back together.
Now, the TriSync model isn't just pulled out of thin air. It's built on some really solid ground. It integrates three established theories. First, you've got Polyvagal Theory, which is all about how our nervous system has to feel safe before we can connect with others. Second, autonomic space, which gives us a much more detailed map of our nervous system states. And third, adaptive control, which explains the layered way our brain and body are built. Put them all together, and you get this new framework.
The very first layer of this map is what TriSync calls body space. I want you to think of this as the foundation of a house. It's all about our physical body, feeling safe, being aware of our own sensations, and having our basic systems, breathing, heart rate, in a state of calm. Without this anchor, it's pretty much impossible to build anything else on top.
Okay, so building on that foundation, we get to heart space. Once we feel physically safe in our own bodies, then we can start to open up to emotional and social connection. This is the realm of feeling secure in our relationships, of forming those trusting bonds with other people.
And right at the top, we've got headspace. This is where all our higher-level thinking lives. Our ability to be flexible in our thoughts, solve complex problems, be creative, and make meaning out of our lives. But, and this is the crucial point, this layer only really works at its best when body space and heart space are regulated and online.
And this brings us to the core idea of the whole model, the TriSync synchronization principle. It basically says that true, deep, meaningful learning only happens when these three spaces, body, heart, and mind, are all working together in harmony, when we are fully in sync.
So we have this powerful, modern, neuroscientific model. It all makes a lot of sense. But this is where our explainer takes a really interesting turn. We're about to connect all this science to something much, much older.
What if this three-part structure, body, heart, and head, is actually a rediscovery? I mean, what if different cultures for thousands of years have been describing the exact same architecture of a human being, just using completely different languages?
Okay, just look at this. On the left, our brand new TriSync model. On the right, a map from ancient Kabbalah, a form of Jewish mysticism. Body space maps directly onto Asia, the world of physicality and action. Heart space lines up perfectly with Yetzirah, the world of emotion. And head space corresponds to Bria, the world of pure intellect. The parallel is, it's just stunning.
And just in case you think that's a one-off, some kind of coincidence, it's not. Here's the TriSync model compared to Keylontic Science, which is a more modern esoteric system. And again, the mapping is incredibly precise. Body space corresponds to the incarnate level, heart space to the soul level, and head space to the oversoul. It's the same three-tiered structure all over again.
What this suggests is something pretty profound, right? We might be looking at a universal map of human consciousness, described by many different traditions, each one just using its own unique vocabulary to point to the same thing.
And this pattern holds up across an absolutely incredible range of systems. We're talking everything from the Jewish Tree of Life to the ancient Indian system of the koshas to more modern frameworks like anthroposophy and integral theory. They all seem to be pointing to the exact same fundamental human design.
This table really pulls it all together. Just take a look at the body row for a second. You see body space, Asya, HE1, Anamaya, different words from different times and places, but the same foundational concept. It's the same pattern for heart and mind. The argument here isn't that this is a fluke. It's that this is evidence of a shared, deep truth about the very architecture of being human. Okay, so if both modern science and ancient wisdom agree on the structure, do they also agree on what happens when that structure breaks? And
maybe more importantly, how to fix it. Let's take a look at the idea of repair. In one tradition of Kabbalah, there's this central epic story about a cosmic catastrophe called the shattering of the vessels. The story goes that the vessels meant to hold divine light, well, they couldn't handle the intensity, and they shattered, scattering sparks of holiness everywhere. This is just such a powerful ancient metaphor for trauma, for fragmentation, for that feeling of dysregulation we started with.
But the story doesn't end there, with everything just broken. Nope. The whole purpose of human life, in this mystical view, is to perform tikkun, which is a Hebrew word for repair. Our job is to find those scattered sparks of light and put them back together to help make the world whole again.
And here it is, the final, powerful synthesis. The ancient spiritual goal of tikkun, of repair, is the very same as the modern neuroscientific goal of resynchronization. Both traditions, ancient and modern, separated by thousands of years, are aiming for the exact same thing, bringing the fragmented pieces of body, heart, and mind back into an integrated, functioning whole.
Okay, this is all fascinating as a theory, right? But what are the real-world implications? Why does having this unified map actually matter for us today, in our lives?
Well, the impact is actually huge. It suggests that our approaches to things like education and mental health have often been, well, incomplete. We focus so much on the head space, on cognition, while totally ignoring the foundational needs of the body space and heart space. For kids with special educational needs and disabilities, or really for anyone with a history of trauma, this model says that regulation and safety aren't just nice optional extras. They are the absolute non-negotiable prerequisite for all learning.
And on the biggest scale possible, this research proposes a whole new way of looking at the very purpose of our lives. Maybe it's not just about accumulating knowledge or having success. Maybe it's about this journey of progressive synchronization, of integrating every single part of ourselves to move towards a state of greater wholeness, and ultimately, a recognition of our connection to everything.
So, if modern neuroscience and ancient wisdom really are drawing the same map, it leaves us with a pretty powerful question to ask ourselves. Looking at your own life, your own body, heart, and mind, where are you on this map right now? And where does it invite you to go next on your journey toward wholeness?